What's up, guys? How's it going? For today, I want to see if I can analyze one of the other matches that I had against one Gabriel Sanchez. A little bit of context behind this is the first match that I narrated with my other opponent from Costa Mesa just a couple days back was oh boy, that was the first match in this particular competition. This is from the GB World Summit in Arizona in 2021, I believe. This tournament, I basically only had one match, and it was lined up with the person from Costa Mesa. It was a single elimination tournament, meaning that as soon as I was out, I was done. That's usually how most of my tournaments went, and if I can analyze, or rather grab footage and analyze my shortcomings in those tournaments, then if I find them, I'll be sure to upload them here. I'm essentially analyzing this match because, one, my opponent was very high level. He was a world-class competitor, Gabriel Sanchez, dude's a beast. And this is in the absolute bracket. So, essentially, after my first match, I wanted to compete again, so I decided to join absolute, which means there are no weight classes, and you could go up against someone, say, in this case, 20 pounds heavier than I was, or 24-ish, I guess, if you're really counting. But this should be fairly interesting. Essentially, ref calls us forward, we shake our hands, and you'll notice that our postures are very different. He pulls guard, he tries to sweep. There's no points for the sweep. He goes for a flying armbar and then a double leg. At this point, he passes my guard like a hot knife through butter, man. It's kind of nuts. He's already awarded 5 points. As you can see, ref gave him 3 points, but 2 points for that little takedown, that little sweep for the double leg. Ref moves us to the center. And then here we are. I have no frames to really counter this side control, right? And now he's up to knee on belly, trying to pass over to mount. I try to push away at his belt. I try some sneaky things to sort of get a reaction out of him. Of course, he's probably seen a lot of this stuff, being a high-level competitor that he is. I try to trap his ankle by grabbing my pant leg, which doesn't really work very well. He's, it's sort of making him think a little bit, but not really the reaction that I want to get. He tries to really threaten mount here by bringing that knee touching the ground, and he's sort of waiting for one of my arms to sort of be exposed, which, as you can see, that arm is now cupping his knee, and he attacks it right away, spinning around into a spinning armbar. As you can see here, he's grabbing my arm and my leg, which really limits my mobility here, especially if I were to have my hips to the ground and my feet had access to the ground as well. I'd be able to scoot back and away, sort of freeing my elbow. At this point, I believe his coach tells him, go for the arms, because that's the only thing keeping him from the submission, so he rips the arm, separates, and then I didn't tap quick enough, because he had already put the armbar on, and that elbow took roughly about 3 to 4 months to heal completely. That's that. That pat on the back really freaking hurt. That was kind of nuts. I'd have to say that was a really, I don't know, not really a terrifying match, but an exciting one, that's for sure. And I never really mind getting beaten by people better than I am, As you can see, there's a difference in our postures here. He's a bit more like hands in front, head in front, back is not hunched like I am, So you can definitely tell that he's seasoned for sure, just in our postures alone. My back is very concave, whereas his chest is forward, and he's very powerful and athletic here. Immediately he closes the distance. He tries to step inside, or doesn't try, he does step inside and grab both my collars here, preparing for a sweep. Essentially, as you can see, he already has his legs in front of me and him. I tried to maintain my balance by shooting my hips back. Unfortunately, he still pulls me over the top of him with his collars and goes for an inside leg sweep, or a sumigaishi in judo. Whoop. There we go. I try to defend by not having my back touch the ground. I do keep a fairly good base here, but he does keep me moving. As you can see, I try to push his shoulder away, but unfortunately that exposes my arm to whatever flying attack he tries to do here. Wham! Red, he tries to go either straight for my back or straight for a flying armbar. I can't tell which. If this leg were to land in front of my head here, then it would have been a flying armbar, having my leg or having my arm rather exposed and straightened right away, like he did in the end. Unfortunately, I think he fell off this position a little bit, which means, as you can see now, he's kind of lost it a bit. But as soon as the leg touched the ground, and as soon as I try to rotate back through, again, I'm being nitpicky here, but in all honesty, I probably would have taken a less. I don't know. I might have rotated the other side, but I feel like that would have lent into my back a little bit. Essentially, I don't really care which side I turned. He already had the double leg loaded. Boom, he caught both my legs there, and now we're down to the ground. What I can just pull from this little exchange, because holy crap, this was ridiculous, was honestly, I mean, prepare for a guard pull. I probably would have let go of my grips, because he had grips on my collar. I probably would have let go of my grips and sort of stuffed his knees or his hips right away and gone for a pass of some sort. Instead, I was so caught off guard by his speed rather and his intention. I've never really faced a high level grappler before, and so I didn't know the proper reaction. But it would have been to control his legs, preventing this little sweep from happening. Right. If we skip forward a little bit, we eventually land in the side control here, which eventually the ref sort of moves us forward. Again, I have this arm isolated, which is exactly where we stopped off, and I didn't want to get in trouble with the ref here, so I gave him the exact same position that I did prior over here. Probably one of the better moves would have been to get my frames inside, start pushing away at his neck, try to get my knee inside, and try to retain some sort of guard. Basically, keeping my legs between him and myself. As you can see with these guys, they very much have that. They very much have these legs using, or rather used as some sort of guard. We call this guard in jiu-jitsu, being able to have our legs either in between obstructing our opponent or around our opponent, having some sort of control over his hips and his balance. Unfortunately, I don't go for that. I compete how I train, and I train how I compete, which means that at this point, I was fairly, I guess, casual in my understanding here. Instead of trying to do the principled, go for guard, use your legs, right? Get him in between you and your opponent. Nope. I try to, trap his foot here, which, again, is just a move for him to get a reaction. I knew that, okay, now his hips are up a little bit. Yes, he had to move, right? But if I were to bridge in this position, meaning if I were to try and buck him off with my chest and my hips elevating my body, then he would have just readjusted. He's a high-level player, right? Again, I don't try and recover any sort of guard. In fact, I knew that he wanted to go knee on belly with the grips that he was establishing, one in my pants and one, I believe, on the back of my collar here. I just tried to get higher than him, which in all honesty could have lent me a chance to scoop my hips back and, again, get my legs in between him. Instead, I just kind of conceded a knee on belly, which, okay, fine. Here I was doing fairly well. Here I was trying to push away at his belt, right? Which, again, doesn't necessarily expose my arms if I keep my elbows tight. But again, most of these moves are trying to get a reaction out of him, which, again, a high-level player, he's seen all of these reactions before. It might have fooled my opponent previous, but not this time. Definitely not this time. He's just waiting for his position to improve, whether that means he gets mount or like this, where this hand here that's grabbing my thigh is eventually going to expose itself. That's already too far committed. As you can see, he's already underhooked this arm here. The armbar is primed, he spins right through, and he catches. I mean, dude, look at that. Holy crap. As soon as he spun through, that arm immediately shot for my leg. So if we look at this in slow motion real quick, it was actually kind of nuts here. Boom, right for that leg. And then, of course, I'm toast here, man. I'm toast. A last-ditch effort would have been a hitchhiker, but I am pretty boned here. This one this leg being trapped prevents my hips from really getting any sort of leverage and chance to escape. Yes, I tried to wrap his head with my legs. It doesn't really work at all, honestly. So, I mean, most of the reason why I'm narrating the matches that I lost is really I want to sort of limit the reactions, or the choices that I make that are just monstrously wrong. Not that I made any horrible choices that gave away any sort of like positional advantage, but my opponent here was just better. Um, I will say though that more dubious options, like my little thing here from side control, again trying to trap that leg, just wasn't really like, that just wasn't the move. Again, that exposes my back. He could have just as easily sunk behind my head, sort of a chair sit position, and just sort of really made my day bad by taking my back right away. This is not a way to escape side control. It's a way to get a reaction out of him, but if you absolutely know what you're doing at a high level, this is not the thing to do. Definitely not. And again, I was just casually sparring. My experience with my roles in jiu-jitsu at this level in particular, we're just casually sparring and experimenting. At purple belt, you're supposed to experiment. You already know enough to the point where you know what's good and what's not, or what's not going to get you immediately lost or submitted. But again, you train how you compete, and you compete how you train, or you train how you fight, and you fight how you train. And this was, just a casual versus very much a high-level opponent, high-level competitor. So, hats off to Gabriel. He definitely got his hands raised after that submission right there. That was solid. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully see you in the next one. See you guys.